Hello, YouTubers and fellow tankers. Welcome to King's Court. I'm Shrine King, and we are going to be doing a review slash guide of the MT-25, which is a Tier 6 Russian light tank. So those who are new and first timers, what I'm doing here is I will go into talking about pros and cons of the tank along with is the tank worth it, and then I will also get into a guide on the tank to say how to best perform in it, and what you typically are going to be looking at. Now, just to get started, what I will say is the MT-25 is an amazing tank. So just to get it out of the way, is it worth it? Absolutely. The line is actually really enjoyable experience up to Tier 6. When you get to Tier 7, the LTG, it starts out kind of rough, but from what I understand, it does get a little better. But the end result is the LT100, which is just amazing tank overall. And there is a premium tank that is actually similar in design that makes it very enjoyable. And now that you actually have the Tier 8 premium, it's totally worth actually getting for the crew and being able to grind that crew up. So let's go right into pros and cons though. This tank has some exceptional pros because it's actually a well-rounded tank overall. So it has good view range, but it's not the best. It has good camo, but it's not the best. It has a good gun, but it doesn't have really high pen or anything like that. So what's nice about it is that you're just able to continuously pump out rounds at a target. So once you are like flanked or able to pinpoint like certain weak points, so you'll see I'm able to fire every 1.9 seconds. That is pretty rough. You will jack up a lot of people with this gun. Then on top of that, it is very mobile, right? So this thing is able to get up to speed and maneuver around. You can do the like peekaboo kind of stuff where you're kind of rolling out, taking a shot, rolling back. And because of the gun on it, the bloom is not so bad. So just by doing that, it won't really impact you in a way that it's going to basically be really horrible for you. Then on top of that, the top speed is actually pretty good. So really, I mean, honestly, I'm sure you're hearing there's a lot of pros to this tank. So let's get right off to saying like what are the negatives to the tank. Well, it's the fact that it's the well-rounder, so it won't be the top dog in any particular part. So is it going to be the best camo? No. Is it going to have the best view range? No. It might have one of the best speeds. It might actually have the best speed. Well, sorry, the engine power is probably one of the things that it has is the best. The armor on it is another thing I should also probably point out. So, and that kind of goes into the pro side. So it does have enough armor on it that it makes it kind of interesting because instead of being like other lights that have no armor whatsoever, you actually have enough armor to block shots. Or I shouldn't say block, it's more about deflection, right? So it's more about those angles and things like that. And the angling on the armor is wonderful. You wouldn't think it either, too, because like some of it looks kind of flat, but it's more about the way that you're maneuvering around. So, honestly, there really isn't too much I would really say overall that's on the con side. The only thing I could say is just like any other light, it doesn't really have a lot of hit points, so I wouldn't expect to take a lot of hits. It is very susceptible to injury, right, or damage. So getting crew knocked out or having, you know, it's like your loader, or not loader, I'm sorry, your ammo being hit, or potentially even your engine. Those are all things that you don't want to have knocked, but it's definitely a possibility with this tank. So one thing I do want to mention here though is unlike some of the other lights, you actually have multiple crew members, or I shouldn't say multiple, you have quite a few crew members. So you'll see that you have 5. That's actually in your favor, to be honest. Well, it sounds kind of bad based on it being that many, and you're trying to do the training, and then I think the LT is only 4. Actually having the 5th is a good thing. And the reason being is a lot of people are using high explosives. If someone were to high explosive this tank, they're not going to knock out the entire crew, so you should be okay. It gives you time to heal your crew up and keep your tank going. Some of the other ones, such as like the AMX lines that have maybe only 3, their issue that they're going to run into is that they can get hit by high explosives and have their entire crew knocked out in one shot because there's only 3 members, and that will kill the tank. You do not get a chance to like heal at that point. So let's go and let's start talking about the guide, right? How do you play this tank? What is the tricks to this tank? How do we make the MT25 the most amazing tank for you as possible? Well, as I mentioned, it's very well rounded. So the style of this tank is capable of doing a lot of different things. But the question is, how do you best do it? And really, it's because it's well rounded. My answer is actually threefold. The design of this tank makes it to where you're not focused on one thing. I'm not going to be just a passive scout. I'm not going to be just an active scout. For those that don't know, passive means that you would actually go into like a bush and you'd sit there and you'd wait and try to spot as many people as you can and keep them lit when they're trying to maneuver around. Active scouting means that you're actually just running around, trying to see people, keep them lit, and more often than not, take shots when, like pop shots, when you get an opportunity. So, what do I do? What do you do? Well, because of the speed of the tank, because of the engine weight power, you actually hold a good start off to be able to get up to speed and get into place pretty quick and early. Point an example right here. I'm going to be very aggressive. I'm going to go way out a little bit too far, honestly, especially considering I don't have Sixth Sense, but sometimes it's the ballsy plays that really pay off the most. So you see here, I already spotted the tanks that I'm spotting against. They actually aren't going to be able to see me. The reason being is because as a light, right, one of the nicest parts is that you do not lose camo as you're moving. So my camo rating was still up. Theirs was not, because they were moving. So they had less camo than I, and I made sure, like, I was basically on the edge of where I would be able to see them when going against their camo. So here you'll see I went very aggressive, and this is what I mean. You know, at the very beginning of the match, you're going to be trying to get into a position, into a bush, right? And you're going to be passive. This is what we call passive scouting. So I'm sitting in a bush, using the bush for my cover. Now, what I said, my answer is kind of threefold. It's because the answer is you want to start as passive. You want to mid-game as active. And what I would consider as the end game is more towards a let's say, support assault tank, right? And I'm saying assault tank because it's not, hey, I'm just going to be running around like a maniac and shooting everybody that I can and stuff like that. You want to pay attention to the map, and that's why you want to notice what your team is doing, how are they doing, where are they struggling, and then getting into position to support them as much as possible. And that's what I mean by support assault. So you are going to be probably shooting, you are going to be spotting, you're going to be scouting, you're going to be maneuvering into positions to assist the team where necessary, and I'll get into that here in a bit. So that's really the answer. That's the overall answer of how you play this tank. Now, when I said the beginning of the match and middle of the match and like end of the match, what is that like? Where does that really come into play? So, honestly, the beginning of the match is probably the first 2 to 3 minutes. The middle of the match is probably gonna be anywhere from your 3 to 5 minute mark, and then the end is 5 on. Now, of course, a lot of you are saying, King, man, you must be smoking some stuff, dude. Like, the matches are 15 minutes. How could middle of the match be at the 3 to 5 minute mark? That doesn't make any sense. Well, you're absolutely right about it being a 15-minute match. But the thing to bear in mind is most matches are actually resolved within a 7-minute period. Even though it's a 15-minute match, a lot of matches end within 7 minutes. And I will say lately, that seems to be coming tighter, like closer, quicker, I should say. So I've been seeing it now where it seems like most matches are actually ending within a 5-minute period. Now, I don't have a bunch of number stack stuff to say, hey, this is exactly the truth. What I can tell you is that's just been my experience so far in the gameplay and the overall feel that I have. And that's why I'm saying the first 3 minutes, like you'll see, like I was actually passively sitting there for about 2.5 minutes, right? And then now we're sitting at the 11.5 minute mark, which means we're actually at like a 3.5 minute, right? So we're talking about mid game. You'll see now I'm moving around, right? I'm trying to help spot where I can, And I'm kind of going a little more into combat like style, right? So the assault type that I was talking about. So like even here, you'll see now I'm charging, I'm coming to help because I see that my teammate is being the typical design that lights will do, where they'll circle their prey, because the aspect is, especially as a heavy, right? A lot of them, their traverse cannot match. So how is that possible? How is it like this is kind of like late game play that I was mentioning, but we're only at, you know, about 4 minutes into the match? Well, that's because there's one other factor that comes into your mid and late game mark, and that's how is your team doing, or how are the teams doing. So here we're actually beating the enemy team pretty badly, so that has actually spun up the timer a little bit because I need to be able to maneuver around and try to help the team. So how do you like those are the designs that I would typically go for when playing this tank. And bear in mind, like I said, you want to be passive kind of early on, and then you're looking at being a little more active, so trying to go find who you can, maybe the people that have not been spotted yet, stuff like that. Or if you see that a particular side is struggling a lot, then you want to get in there and start being a little active, because the one thing that you have over other people typically is the speed and smaller size. So you get over to, like, let's say, well, you know, a certain flank was losing really bad, you want to get in there and try to spot as much as you can and then get out of there, right? Just kind of run in and spot people real quick and get out. That's pretty much what an active scout does. And then bear in mind, if you're doing that, right, you're typically lighting someone for 6 seconds. And it also means that you're most likely lit for 6 seconds. But if by chance players have the skill, you'll actually be lit for 8 seconds. So you always want to be kind of safe on that, and I would really focus on doing the 8 seconds. Now here's a funny fact. This is the same tank, we're both fighting, we're the same tank. So you'll notice I'd already bounced 2 shots against him. And I mean, that's me firing at him. And now here's another tip that I'll give you. So you'll see that, yep, that guy was right there in front of me. I could have probably shot him, but I'm going to try to go around. And the reason I'm going around is because I have other teammates that are right there. You do not want to maintain all guns from the straight aspect, especially with a tank that you have that's highly maneuverable, right? So it has armor. It's not a very good matchup. That way, like, he's actually having better chances to block. By me maneuvering around, he's pretty much screwed no matter what. So I hope this really helps you guys and gals. Please let me know what you think, what, you know, maybe ideas that you have for stuff that I can do that helps you out more. Let me know if this is actually useful. Let me know if it's not. And again, this is King's Court. Please feel free to look through all of my videos. I will keep them coming, and I hope you guys appreciate this stuff. Please let me know, and like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.